So, Linda, the speech is for you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, and I'm delighted to be here today. I want to show you that these were the notes that my staff gave me in saying this is how you set up the discussion. Andreas has covered that for me. So I can happily tell the staff that that was completed successfully, okay? But that's fine, because I can then take a minute to tell you a story about how I first discovered what an integrated report was. So quite a number of years ago, I was talking to one of my staff, and she asked me a question about a certain type of disclosure. And I had a friend in a certain company that it's one of the companies in Canada, where I come from, that is known for the quality of its financial reporting. And I said, no, I know they do some disclosure in that area, let me go look. And so I went and I got to the company website, and I saw this little thing called an integrated report. I said, So I forgot all about what I was supposed to be doing, and I clicked on that, and I started reading. And I don't know how long it was. It could have been 15, 20 minutes, I don't know, but I was very intrigued with this report, because what I sensed right away was it was bringing all these things together. It was connecting all the dots for me about what the company was doing and how it was creating value and planning for the future and things like that. And my staff member came by and said, did you find that disclosure? I go, what disclosure? That was the first time that I actually had spent time looking at an integrated report, and I followed with interest since then the developments. And so now here I am talking about it in terms of what's happening there, but also in terms of what's happening with our project on management commentary. So the panelists have already been introduced, so I'm going to kick it off. And Nick, I'm going to go to you first, okay? Could you tell us how the integrated reporting framework influenced what we did in terms of the ISB's proposals? Because you were around when that exposure draft was put out. I wasn't, but Nick was.
So thank you, Linda. Great to be here this morning to talk about integrated reporting and the relationship with management commentary. So you're right, I was there not only when the exposure draft went out, but I was there when the project was launched in November 2017. And part of that decision to launch the project, as Andreas alluded to, the original management commentary practice statement had become, I'd say, tired, very out of date, was to look at innovations that had occurred in reporting since then. At the forefront of our minds was certainly the integrated reporting framework and what had been achieved through that. We were fortuitous in our timing, because I believe in that same year, the International Integrated Reporting Council had done a feedback statement on the 2013 frameworks. There was lots of new information there in terms of what was working well. We had, and Andreas mentioned it earlier, Lisa French, who many of you may know, was the Chief Technical Officer at IRRC there. She was a member of our consultative group. But I think the most powerful and I'd say organic influence came through what we heard from feedback from stakeholders. Everything which we've done in this space has been driven, as actually most of our work is in terms of what we hear from stakeholders. And there, just in terms of the responses they're giving us, telling us what we needed to attend to, particularly from investors who are the final recipients of these reports, was around things like value creation. That was something very much at the forefront of their minds. Value creation may be a relatively new concept for corporate reporting. It's certainly not a new concept for capital markets. Now, there are different types of investors. Some are quite short-term orientated, some are very long-term, but it's a concept that's well understood, and investors wanted more information about that, more information about assets that weren't recognized in the financial statements, a longer-term perspective, more focus on the resources which are critical to the business and to the business model, more information there. So all these things really resonated with integrated reporting. I'd say the last thing that I think is absolutely critical, and we talk about it an awful lot today, is a desire for connectivity, for connected information. I think investors have desired this for as long as I can remember, because when they see information that is connected, that is consistent, it helps them build trust. It helps them build trust in management, build trust in companies, and ultimately for them to build trust in their investment case. And the opposite is true. If you see things which seem to be inconsistent, that erodes trust. And so really these were the things which we were hearing from the market, which very much in line with the integrated reporting framework, and I would say influenced our thinking.
Thanks so much, Nick. So I remember very shortly after I joined the ISB, and it was about the time that I found out I was going to be the vice chair, we'd ask the staff, and Laura, who was here, helped with us, we'd ask the staff to take the board through an education session where we said, here's what the principles are in integrated reporting, and here's what we say in the current version of the exposure draft for management commentary. And they did an education session for us, and I thought it was fascinating to do that and see how much of the ideas were in common. And so Elbano and then Charles, I'll ask both of you to answer this question. So thinking about that management commentary document, which aspects of the proposals that sit in management commentary today do you see as the most important that help us promote the integrated reporting principles?
Okay, thank you, good morning.
He's not shy at all, isn't that wonderful?
Okay,
Go ahead.
Okay. Welcome, first of all, welcome in this sunny and blue sky town like Milan, of course. We will try to create a sustainability atmosphere, just to speak about management commentary. Let me introduce, which is, of course, the professional accountant point of view about this, because, as you know, I see here not a presentation, but my CV. There is all my roles, but as professional accountants, I can absolutely say that in Italy, professional accountants and CNDCC, my institute, have a particular attention to sustainability. And we play for sure a major role in Italy on this issue. In fact, CNDC, for this reason, I would like to thank you, first of all, it's not sustainable. Okay, hello? Yes. Milan is the best town, don't worry. Let me say, so academic organization like O.I.B.R. and GBS with which we interact, let me say, quite daily, thanks to Alessandro Lai, Stefano Zambon, Laura Girella, and this is for me really a great opportunity because we have the same focus, the same view about these issues. But also want to express my personal thank you to IFRS, to which I'm proud to belong because I'm a member of IFRS Advisory Council, and I consider strategic for all the issue about sustainability and integrated reporting. CNDC also, just to remember, has been member of the IRC that then merged into Value Reporting Foundation that then merged into IFRS Sustainability Alliance, different steps. Last year, with a colleague of mine, we have done an activity of investigation on the interaction between professional accountants and sustainability. In fact, we are about to publish an academic paper on this, and we have discovered that, or better, we have identified two different phases. The first phase has been the skepticism phase. The second one, knowledge phase. Now, right now, we are living a phase in which professional accountants are the backbone of integrated reporting, or better, using a word dear to IRC, integrated thinking. Having said that, answering to your question, what we have recorded in Italy is that financial reporting, in particular management commentary, and in particular the U version of management report, is changing tune. And this is a lesson taught by professionals and eminent scholars that some years ago have theorized the possibility to combine information of different nature in the same document. In fact, the trends are now not towards two different reporting, one financial and the other one non-financial, but towards a single report that take in due consideration the whole corporate phenomenon into the corporate reporting dimension. If it's true that ESG factors have already applied by business practice, it's also true that management report is also may discover, may express, may describe better the corporate performance, the ability of an entity to create value in the market, which are the interaction of the variable in the entity, and in particular, another very important information, which will be corporate performance in the future. These are all information considered strategic, essential for stakeholders and capital providers, investors in general. In my point of view, management commentary is the best document, or is perhaps the best one, in which we have a combination of this information, of this dimension. And also, it's also the document in which it's possible to catch in the right way, which is the ability of the entity to create value in the market. Because now in Italy, we have 3 documents in particular: financial statements, sustainability reporting, and management commentary. Financial statement sustainability reporting satisfy information needs of stakeholders, of the parties interested in, okay? And they are, as I will say after, very complicated sometimes to be understood. Now it's a problem also, as Nick has told before, also a connectivity among all these documents. IR framework, in my opinion, is a document that in the future has great opportunity to improve of a development. We all know that the principle that guide IR framework and management commentary are very similar, are quite the same. Also, the information provided inside are quite the same, because we have sustainability information, financial information, other factors and other aspects information. But in my opinion, management commentary, of course, not only in my opinion, from this perspective in Italy, it represents the best documents which we have that can represent the combination of these 2 dimensions.
Thank you. Charles?
Excuse me. Good morning, everybody. Lovely to be here. Thank you very much indeed, O.I.B.R, for putting on this event. It's really good, and I think the messaging that I've heard this morning generally is very positive, although some of the things you've just said I'm slightly less positive about. But I think if we're talking about comparing the management commentary and integrated report, we just need to think about them coming from really, 2 different places. The management commentary is all about explaining further in depth the financial statements, and that's absolutely right, and it's really good, and it, as you say, it's very positive in that respect. Integrated reporting came about in 2010, and I've been involved from day one, and have a similar passion, I think, to you in that regard. It came about because it was about how companies tell their story about how they are overall creating value, and they're creating value first and foremost for their key relationships through their business model. And it's only as a consequence of how well they do that job that you then get the financial outcomes which are expressed in the financial statements. So they come from 2 different places. The integrated reporting framework is very much about the business model, the opportunities and risks, and the trade-offs in terms of how you think about those opportunities and risks. And as a consequence, as Emmanuel has said, as Andreas has said, as many other people have said, integrated thinking is absolutely fundamental to that activity. And ultimately, the quality of the integrated thinking is down to the quality of the governance and management of the organization. And therefore, I think that's the key thing, that if we're going to get consistency between S1 and S2, which is very much focused upon that governance, we need to get into the management commentary as well. And then what we then will achieve is a consistency of the accounting statements or accounting standards and the sustainability standards. They provide context and specificity to the overall integrated reporting. And if we get that, then the quality of that integrated reporting gets up. It enables people such as Veronica at Deloitte to undertake audits more effectively because they have that specificity. But it means that you then have you have the ability for the comprehensive corporate reporting. I think the one thing that I would want to to conclude this early statement, I would say that the key thing that management commentary needs to address is the governance aspect. The other thing that I just want to say, which is, in my view as chair of the IRCC, is the integrated reporting framework today is absolutely fit for purpose. It was updated in 2021. We've heard today how both chairs of both boards are saying, you should be using it. It actually does help you tell your story. That's what we should be really getting that message out there. And it's a key message for obviously progressing corporate reporting, and they are great. It's a great asset within the IFRS Foundation.
Thanks, Charles. So it's very interesting when we think about this, because one of the things that I know from my days in financial reporting is that management always has the notion of what they have to do because the regulator requires it. And so I'm going to go back to you, Elbano, and say, what do you think about the role of regulators in promoting the principles and helping us bring together perhaps the role that management commentary has traditionally played in different jurisdictions, and integrated thinking and integrated reporting? What do you think about that?
Yes, Linda. Let me make a brief distinction between large companies and small and medium entities in Italy. But not only in Italy, let me say all over Europe, because, in Italy we have 90% of small and medium entities. So the quality of these entities, the health of these entities, also the organization of this entity is the health, the nature, the quality, and the organization of the whole economic Italian system. And as a CNDCC, we have, of course, spent and put a great attention on this kind of entities. Why I'm making this distinction? For what concerns large companies, we all know the SRS framework have considered and have created in a management commentary a wide interest on sustainability disclosure. In fact, sustainability disclosure is a part of the management commentary. What we have recorded in the European debate is that there is a great fear of complexity due to an extreme technicality that we, of course, record, respect financial statement and sustainability reporting, and at the same time, also the regulatory framework appears to be extremely technical. And which is the risk? The risk is that we create a confusion, let me say. We can create a disorganization in the reporting. So we have, in my opinion, taken in due consideration the complexity, and we have to manage this complexity, because the risk is that that in the future we'll not have the possibility to reach the goal of this report. In my perspective, the management commentary is like a container in which you have the synthesis of the granularity of IFRS data point and of the IFRS compliant financial statement. And I think also that management commentary could be, or better, is the right documents in which you have the possibility to understand if the entity is following a sustainability behavior in the market, and has also the ability to be going concern in a medium and long period also in the market. So you can understand easily that this information are strategic for stakeholders, absolutely strategic for stakeholders. On the other side, SMEs. I think that also for the SMEs there is a problem of complication. and technicality, because first of all, SMEs are not organized or well organized like the large companies. And it's a basic problem. In fact, we in terms of professional accountants, play a strategic role, especially as strategic consultants in the organization of the single entities. And for them, and we all know also that European legislature, just to remember Directive 51/2003, also for the SMEs is considered very important, the sustainability information. In fact, there is also, with this directive in Italy, we have the indication by the European legislation to improve the information on environment, on personal, all the non-financial information. What we have to do? I think that management commentary in general, so it's a problem of clearness. Management commentary for SMEs is an extraordinary tool for 3 different goals. First of all, to understand clearly, to have the exact information how the SMEs is able to play its own role in the market, of course, in a medium long term. Secondly, how the ESG factors interacts in the entity, because ESG factors are absolutely, if well managed, a great opportunity for the entity to grow in the market. But at the same time, if these factors are not well managed, are, in my opinion, a great risk for the entity. And this is the point very important, because to manage the ESG factors means that you have a good consultants, a good professional accountants, let me say, on your side. Third, if you have a good management of ESG factors, you have the possibility to prevent the risk. And you know, we are living in a market where we have a situation of great instability. We don't have due to different events, okay? So prevent means that you have the possibility to have the ability to prevent, to mitigate the risk, to adopt the right decision, the right moment, to guarantee the going concern of the entity in the market. For conclusion, I want to say another thing, that I consider a great opportunity for SMEs, the project of voluntary sustainability standards for SMEs. But let me express my concern about this. It's important to have a scalable approach, because of course, if you want to have a widespread adoption by SMEs, it's necessary that you made a tailor-made exercise of these standards in Italian, of course, SMEs. So it's a matter of complexity in general.
Why, thank you. And so I think we have somebody who can help us explain connectivity on a go-forward basis and how this all fits together. It's well done. Thank you very much. So Nick, I'm going to go back to you for a second. Can you talk a little bit? I mean, Andreas gave us a Coles Notes version of where we're headed in terms of our approach to finalizing this version of management commentary. Can you add a little context to that for us?
Yeah, of course. And these are what we're terming to be targeted refinements. So we're reflecting on the feedback that we received on the exposure draft and obviously subsequent developments in corporate reporting, including, importantly, the establishment of the ISSB and the consolidation of the Value Reporting Foundation, and with that, the Integrated Reporting Foundation is now an important element of what we have at the foundation. So reflecting on that, we're doing a few things, and we agreed at the last month's board meeting to emphasize that the objective of management commentary is to provide management's perspective on those factors that could affect an entity's ability to create value or generate cash flows, including sustainability-related factors, to ensure that those are explicitly brought into the objective. We'll look at the value creation, how that's been expressed in the draft practice statement to see whether that can be better aligned with integrated reporting. And there'll be some things around tying up the language to make sure the language is more consistent across S1, S2, integrated reporting framework, as and where we can. I think an important clarification within this, and I think it's a genuine misunderstanding, is what we mean by management. So we use the word, we call it management commentary, but if you dig beneath the surface and you look at what we have in the conceptual framework, it could equally be those charged with governance. And in many jurisdictions, reports are required from those charged with governance rather than from the executives. So we hope to clarify that through these refinements. So that's the kind of thing that we're looking at.
Thanks a lot, Nick. Now, I'm just going to ask you to elaborate on something we've heard, and then I'm going to go back to Elbano with the same question. But you've heard the word stepping stone a number of times today. Didn't know they were going to take on such a powerful meeting when we had them in our paper, but we talked about this notion of management commentary and the improvements we're trying to make, basically bringing it forward and making it current and fit for purpose as the stepping stone to get ready for when we are ready for a project and integration in reporting. So can you elaborate a little bit on that from the IASB side?
Sure. So I think what that does, and we have used those words stepping stone, is that first of all what we want to do is that we had a solid base to step from. And what we had was a set of suggestions, proposals that have been in an exposure draft, and we wanted to crystallize those, to refine those. And now we have that solid base. And I think what we'll end up with is what will be a codified standard-like set of requirements, which there's a lot of IR principles reflected in those requirements, but it'll be a different nature, it'll be distinct, certainly in that respect. And the two boards will come together to think about how we move forward. But just let me tell you what excites me from a personal perspective, and that's really the opportunity to extend the reach of integrated reporting principles, but in particular integrated thinking. Correct. Because I think that's the way what investors really want in terms of connected information. That is the route to connected information. So if we can also bed that into the management commentary thinking, and that becomes, in some respects, a prerequisite for providing a good management commentary, is that it has to be coherent and consistent and tied up. That is the end game that excites me.
Well, that's very helpful. Elbano, what?
Sorry, could I just come in on?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm not the person to stop you, Charles. Please go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I think creating this strong foundation is really important because we do need both S1 and S2 and the ongoing sustainability standards and the accounting standards to be foundational in terms of their support of overall corporate reporting. So I think that is absolutely critical. We're on a journey, and this is, you know, a very exciting journey, and we've made, I think, a huge amount of progress. I want to repeat, though, that, you know, the integrated reporting framework is fit for purpose today. It was updated in 2021. It's adopted by 3,000 companies globally. Companies are not run in silos, so the financial reporting is really important, the sustainability reporting is really important, but we have to have it integrated, and that's the key issue. So, you know, on where are we? We've made huge great progress on the foundational side of things, and we'll continue to do so. The framework is fit for purpose, and where we now need, where the next stage, or at some stage, we need to have a clear vision of what the future for corporate reporting looks like from the IFRS Foundation in terms of, you know, what is the end game? Maybe there never is an end game, but, you know, where are we shooting for at the moment? And just to make, if I could, just one point about the smaller companies. I've been involved with lots of small companies, and I've run one which is relatively small, 400 people. Actually, I ran another one with 25 people. And if you use the principles of that framework, it really helps you run your business. Instead of saying use the principles, instead actually say try and produce internally an integrated report. And certainly what I've experienced is you find actually there's a lot you don't know about your business and you don't have the right information, and it really helps you do that. Thank you.
Yes, no, I couldn't agree more about what Nick and Charles has just said. Let me just tell you what is the real situation, or better, my personal condition now in Italy respect what you have asked us. First of all, the great difficulty is not just to transfer skills to our colleagues in terms of technical skills, but to to guide and to manage a cultural transformation. Because, in my opinion, to guarantee a full integration in reporting, you need to have a different way of thinking about what you are doing in the entity, in the company in general. This is a problem not only for the professional accountants, but in particular for entrepreneurs, and in particular for SMEs. In Italy, we have the use to adopt something new only when there is a law that obliges you to adopt something new. All the changements in Italy are law-driven. Now in Italy, last week, we have the adoption of the CCRD. So I'm sure that in the short time, all small and medium entities will be, let me say, obliged to adopt and to embrace sustainability thinking, not sustainability reporting, because there is a law, but not because they have understand really the meaning of this new cultural behavior. And this is, let me say, the great difficulty. I have to thank, of course, Alessandro and Stefano, because as I told you, starting my presentation, we are working in touch really daily to make this cultural, to guide and to manage this cultural revolution. This is the point. And this is the great difficulty of this passage from a financial statement, just numbers, to something else that is the interpretation of the numbers, not only for the entity, but for the entire market in which the entity operates and play. This is the great challenge, goal.
I'm sure you're up to it.
Thank you.
So Charles, let me circle back with you, and after I ask Charles this last question, I'll open it up for audience questions. So we've talked about the influence the integrated reporting movement has had on management commentary, but how else have integrated reporting ideas, integrated thinking influenced the foundation's work in the time you've spent with us?
Well, I think I think actually you've heard everybody else this morning talking about that. I mean, it's really gone to the heart of the IFRS Foundation. I think the only thing that I would, excuse me, probably too much wine last night. The one thing that we just have to get out there is that message is that, you know, if you try to do integrated reporting, as I was saying earlier, you'll identify things that you don't understand. The heart of integrated reporting is the business model and relationships. And the message that I would like to see everybody thinking about is, first of all, have they got a really clear understanding of their business model and what is the differentiator from all of their competitors? And then what are the key relationships in that business model? And it's amazing once you start thinking about those material relationships. And then what then comes from that is the risks, and risk identification is, you know, fantastic in that regard. And of course also opportunities. So I think what we've heard this morning is just how much the integrated reporting framework and thinking has really influenced the foundation and both the boards. I think the one thing that I would really urge is, well, two things I would really urge. One is that we really are advocating the value of that reporting. And secondly, that we really do need a vision as to what the end game is and what the ecosystem is to support that end game. And that's particularly in regard to assurance, but many wider things as well. Education in particular.
So thank you all. So we have time for a couple of quick questions from the audience. Do we have any questions? It's an opportunity. Oh, we have one right here.
Hi all, thank you for the lovely discussion. My question is to Professor Nuccio. With regards to the evolution in the space, we have seen TCFD lapsing into, being adopted rather, into the IFRS Foundation framework. Integrated reporting forms a part of that foundation's work right now. but a lot of impact materiality or double materiality concepts used in this comes from SASB. So where do you see the future of integrated reporting, or integrated thinking probably will stay because that forms a foundation for any reporting framework, but where do you see integrated reporting lying in the landscape? Would it still exist individually, or would it cease from its existence and get kind of like a TCFD kind of adoption in the IFRS Foundation?
Let me say that, which is the future of integrated reporting, if you understand, you want to know. But I think that, as I told you before, due to this legislation that in Italy, of course, I'm speaking in terms of local legislation, due to this legislation that is driving the obligation to have this kind of information in of course, all the entities, companies' documents, I think that in the next future, not only for the large companies, because large companies already adopt, of course, an integrated disclosure, let me say, but also for SMEs, we will have the same effect. The problem is not if we will adopt in the future integrated reporting also for small and medium entities. The problem is another one. How can we apply this integrated reporting in the SMEs world? Because this is the great challenging goal to reach, because as I told you before, SMEs are not well organized. The SMEs entrepreneur is someone that considers himself the only one that knows everything. Let me say, in Italy, when you speak with a small entrepreneur, he says, please stay there, don't worry. I know what I want to do and what I'm able to do. This is a cultural situation. It's very difficult to pass this personal situation. This is why I consider the law-driven obligation an opportunity for us, because it's the only way to speak with them and to create the right adoption of this kind of information. Last week, Italian government has adopted Italian law, the LGS 125, in which the government has established the obligation for all the companies to have the certification of integrated reporting by the professional accountants in their role of auditors, okay? So this is a very important step forward, the risk of greenwashing, because, you know, also for the small and medium entities, this is not a risk, it's more than a risk, because they are not, for two reasons, because they are not able to understand really the rules, the sustainability rules, so sometimes because they want to give not right information. With this law now, all the sustainability reporting must be certified by a professional accountants. As this is another puzzle of course, in an activity that push towards an integrated application of integrated reporting. This is a great battle of my institute, CNDCC, because I, the president of the institute, asked the Prime Minister, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, to adopt this kind of laws in order to have an effective application of the integrated thinking in our country.
Well, thank you very much, and we're at the end of our time, and I realize we're standing between you and your lunch break. So let me thank the panelists and just make one final comment. It's very clear to me from this discussion, there's no competition here. These are products that work together, and ultimately they'll be moving things forward, and that's what we all want. So thank you very much, gentlemen.